In the episode that we built this ginormous villager build, we had found these guys. That's right, I bet you forgot about these guys. Today we're going to give these guys a home. So far they've just been outside, and I know they probably aren't affected by the rain that much because they're kind of hollow, but I feel bad for them, so we're going to take them somewhere and build them a beautiful new home, actually really close to here. Because you see, we have this plan for an amethyst cave right under the mountain here. And I think we can turn this area into a cool new stables for those skeleton horses and still have the amethyst farm. Because the amethyst farm, it would be somewhere way down in that area around deep slate level. So we have all of this space up here to create an awesome build. How does that sound, guys? You guys want a new place to live? Now, skeleton horses are obviously very bony and very hollow, but this section of their frame is quite cool and very fascinating. I think if we try to adapt the skeleton horse rib cage into the cave, we could potentially have a really cool result from that. Most caves are pretty circular, and this one has a good start to it. So if we put ribs going up the sides, I think we could achieve that effect that we were looking for. We do have an issue right here though, as this is the area for our copper field. So we are going to have to do some finagling around that thing, but there is a lot of space that we can work with here, and even more space around the bits that we're trying to avoid. So I think we just ought to grab our materials and start placing some blocks down. Now, I haven't touched the skeleton farm since early game, and I still have an entire shulker box full of bones. And a shulker box in my ender chest. I think we're pretty much set for bones. Now, in terms of other materials I might want to use, definitely going to need a lot of dirt, maybe some cobblestone, and obviously we're going to need a lot of wood. I think for now we can take these materials and just start placing and starting to generate some ideas. Now, as it stands currently, the cave kind of sits in this awkward area, and if we want to treat this build like a stable for those horses, we're going to need a way to get ourselves out of it without jumping over too many awkward areas. So I think the first step might be to fill in this hole, which means I need to go back and get dirt. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of back and forth with this one. Thank you. Quick stop to the cat. Oh, thank you. All right, and we're off. Can anybody tell me why it's been raining so much in my world? It's really like an abnormal amount. Okay, now we have this little bit of a jut out from the hill here, but I think what we could do is try and build this tendril that we had here out a little bit further. And I think what I want to do is try and make it so that the tendril creates like a natural overhang or like a natural tunnel in a way. And you kind of have to go through like this area here to get into the cave. And then here we'll leave this tendril and maybe we'll raise up the land a little bit. Why are there so many zombies? We'll raise up the land a little bit and try and like block it off. So that way the only way you have through is through that natural like tendril bridge thing. This is a little awkward for now, but I think we can work with it. I just want to swoop, you know, like a little loop-de-swoop. Okay, this is a start, and it's wide enough for the horses, so I think it's plenty big enough. And it looks good enough. It looks pretty natural. Yeah, I could believe it. What do you... Oh, well, you already told me, but I guess... What do you think? I think they like it. Now, this isn't quite a full-blown wall, but going from this very flat area to an abrupt increase in height and elevation, as a visual element, it really feels like we shouldn't be going that way. And if there's a path right to the left of it, our minds are automatically going to wander up this way. So without putting a straight up 2-block or 3-block high wall, we still achieve the same effect that we wanted. Once we start building the actual cart-sized roads, I do want to start using this coarse dirt in and around our town area. So starting at some place like this build, while it might feel out of place for now, Eventually, all you're going to see is coarse dirt roads connecting all of the builds that we're going to expand in this area, again, where all of the blue lapises are. And just the way that this looks right now, I am excited for when that final result comes to fruition. But currently, this path kind of leads nowhere. And of course, we got to change that. Now, currently, we have a lot of space around about this area that we can utilize for this build today. We can't really go too far down because of the copper field that we put in last episode, but that leaves plenty of space up here. So I think we're going to take this somewhere in that area. Now, it is still very much a work in progress, but we have a very good cave feeling, a very good base layer that we can start adding all of our details onto the top of. And of course, I did get the 4 modules in for where the horses are going to go. And here we have room that we can start moving down towards the Amethyst farm, which is actually like right down there at a very awkward angle. So that'll be interesting trying to get a path down to it. So while we may be nearly done with this part of the project, there is still a lot more to go. Hello, friend. Stay right there. Oh, no. Do I not have any bones anywhere? Okay, we're good. I guess I might need more than that. Come here, doggy. I can't believe it. This thing's probably been over here this entire time, and I have only just noticed it now. Hello. Aw, you love me. Come on. Let's take you home. And we have a very beautiful spot for our Poochie, who needs a name, so y'all know what to do. And I can always change the color of the collar too, so if you guys have any ideas for that, drop them down below. Now, it is raining again, but like I had mentioned earlier, we are going to try and mirror or create something similar to the ribcage on this skeleton horse, or all of the skeleton horses. And to do that, we're going to very clearly use bone blocks because, well, you know, they're very similar. Now, while it's not anatomically perfect, these rib bones do the effect that we wanted them to do, and they end right about here. And they end right about here because we approach this kind of weird turn that doesn't really follow the straight line that a rib cage usually is. But that's okay, because from here we're going to start transitioning the bone cave into the amethyst cave that we are going to dig out here. But that is still a ways away, as there are so many details that we can add to this first cave before we can even think about touching the amethyst cave. I've been trying to rack my brain on what I want to add to the cave, and I think something I want to incorporate is going to be a lot of cobbled deep slate. I want the cave to try and feel like it's a dark and dingy place, and I think cobbled deep slate is the tone, the texture, and the color that I can use to achieve that. Never fly while talking, guys. So I think I want to come in and add the cobbled deep slate around the bones. So maybe it feels like the bones are going to kind of corrupt the stone in the area and turn them into this different shade. And maybe whatever giant creature fell here and we're now using its rib cages, maybe the deep slate is like what's left over from its body. A little morbid, I know, but it's just for the imagination purposes. And it gives me an excuse to use deep slate because I honestly don't use it as much as I should. Okay, we're gonna let this sit for a little bit and see how I feel about it. That didn't quite go to plan, but I'm alive and I have some details to show you. I've started sprucing up the area with a bunch of leaves and a bunch of greenery, and then all throughout the middle here, we have all of the details that I have been slowly adding here and there. I wanted some kind of leaf in here, and the mangrove root, actually, it fits the vibe and the aesthetic of this area very well, and then the glowberries also make it feel like there's just a lot of overgrowth and a lot of foliage. As light of a tone as they are, they still fit into this area, same as the hanging roots. I think for the details, we are pretty much done. I might add a couple of things here and there, but the last things would be to get in the horses and get some pressure plates and some fence gates on the ground. That way we could just easily walk in with them. But the horses are pretty much the last and final step of this section of our tunnel. Alright, all these guys are saddled up now, and I do have a name tag for you, and that is Bona Lisa, suggested by one of my fabulous viewers in the Villager Town Hall episode. There are still 2 horses here, so if y'all have any other names you want to suggest, I am open to anything. You know, as long as it's punny like the 2 that we have so far. And super easily, we can get these guys, open up the doors, and they close right behind us. I also did not realize how slow they were. And I know in 1.19.4, which is the one that I just updated to, you can actually effectively breed horses, and they'll progressively get better. So I've been kind of wanting to get into horse breeding, as that's something that I've never really done. You know, considering it was almost pointless before. And I know we might be like super late game, we have elytra, we kind of fly everywhere. But with all the paths that I'm laying out, it would be fun to ride around our town and where we're expanding to on top of a horse. Just a little bit of extra immersion, you know? And we do have a bunch of horses in here. So maybe one of our episodes coming up could be about horses. What do you think? Would you like something like that? The more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm actually very excited about that idea. We have this entire river that I would like to utilize at some point, and you can see there is already a nice natural path along it out to this area. And out here we have a ton of horses that we could utilize. Doesn't this spot just look perfect for a horse farm? So if that's something you guys are interested in, be sure to let me know. And even if not, that's something that I'm very excited about and we might be doing in the future. But now that we are done with the inside, ouch. But now that we are done with the inside, or at least the first part of our Amethyst, not Amethyst cave, I guess we just call this a cave now because there's going to be 2 sections to it and you can't really call them both sections at one time. So now that we're done with the first part of the cave, which is the bone section, the horse section, we need to start on the amethyst section. And this one is going to be a lot trickier to do because, like I mentioned earlier, the amethyst buddings... Oh, by the way, I haven't actually explained to you what it is. There are 3 geodes in somewhere down there that are in very close proximity to each other, and they're also always loaded in because I'm very close to them. And I don't need amethyst. I mean, you don't really need it for anything, really. But it still would be good to have access to something like that. But of course, in order to get access to it, I need to find it first and get us down there. We are just barely out of reach of the beacon here, so I'm going to build up a quick beacon and hopefully we can get back to mining super fast in no time. We finally made it all the way down here, and right over here is the 3 different geodes I was talking about. Here is the first one, the second one is a smaller one right up there, and then the third is a much larger one just right here. So they are very, very close to each other, and I think the plan is going to be hollow out the entire space in between here, so all this wall here, and then we're going to hollow out around the outsides and create a nice uniform-ish room. And then, I think like most good amethyst farms, we're going to flood it. And hopefully I have a conduit laying around somewhere because that is kind of essential whenever you're trying to flood an amethyst farm. Let's see if I can fly out of here. Oop. Nope, okay. I'm not going to fly. We'll work on that. And, yep, we do have enough. All right. Just craft up one of you. Now, do I have enough prismarine? Yes, I do. I think 24 is the number. Guess we'll find out, right? But I am getting ahead of myself. First, we do actually have to hollow out these spaces. So I'm going to do that real fast, and then we can flood it. Turns out the surrounding caves were actually very enthusiastic about me flooding the Amethyst geodes, and they even offered to do it preemptively, which was very, very nice of them. I should probably go repair this real fast. Hello, Mr. Villagers. How are you all doing today? Much better. Thank you. And back down we go. Now, quite painstakingly, both of the rooms have been cleared out, and there is about a 2-block gap in between the very most bottom budding amethyst, the side ones, and the very top ones. Now, here is where we're going to put in the wall blocks that we want, and I'm thinking I want to do something that I've seen a lot of other people do, and that is black walls in here, because whenever you have it flooded and the conduit going, you have night vision, and it makes it feel like a very surreal environment with all of these budding amethysts acting as like floating stars around the area. And I think the way that I've seen it has been really cool, and I want to try and do something very close to that. Now, I'm thinking it has to be something like black wool or black concrete, but that might be an issue for us because now that I'm thinking about it, I don't believe I have that much black dye, and I know I definitely don't have a source for it. So yeah, I only have 57 black dye, and I don't really know how many stacks of black dye and black concrete we're gonna need. Hold on a minute. I think I just thought of another way we could do this. Now bear with me on this one. And yep, got it. Nope, don't got it. Oh yeah, that's right. You see, this beautiful block right in front of us might be the answer to our problems. There is going to be a ton of it in the deep dark, and we don't need to craft it at all. All we have to do is collect the stuff. And it might actually enhance the feeling that I was trying to capture having the black concrete. So I think you know what's coming next. I just really hope I remembered to disable every one of the shriekers. Guess we'll find out. You know, I don't want to spoil anything, but I have a feeling we're going to be back to this deep dark pretty soon. Because you see, 1.20 is coming out, and they're adding a very unique and very cool armor trim to the deep dark loot table. And I plan on trimming some chunks whenever 1.20 comes out, so maybe we'll find ourselves back exploring this ancient city. But fresh. That won't be horrifying. And I'm out. Suppose it was pretty optimistic only grabbing one shulker box. Back we go. I brought 2 shulkers this time. I just broke my hoe. Great. Well, guess it's time to go back. Hello. I guess that wasn't too bad to replace. And back at it. Somehow it's raining again, but you can't see it this time because Optifine finally works for me. But we have our 2 shulkers of Skulk, and now it is time to take these back down and see if we can actually finish off the Amethyst farm. Now, hopefully these 2 shulkers do the trick. And if we still need more, I might cry a little bit. The amount of water around these geodes really made me want to put in the conduit earlier so that I could have access to all the benefits that it gives me, and I found out I did not have enough blocks for it, so of course I had to go and find more blocks. But on my trip over to the local ocean monument, I discovered these drowned, and long story short, the trident that I did have kind of got deleted because of some blue screen errors, so I was on the hunt for a new trident. Luckily, this very kind drown let me borrow his trident forever, and I was able to make my way over to the ocean monument and collect the blocks that I needed. To make any of this work, I had to start by filling in a layer right under where the ceiling was going to go and then flooding that completely so that every bit of the top layer was full of water and it could all cascade down onto the rest of the geode, and every single block would have some kind of source block right above it. Then came time to add in all the kelp, and I had to manually add it on top of all of these geode blocks and then onto all the ground surrounding each and every geode. And quite some time later, we have been growing and harvesting and planting and growing a ton of kelp. Now, I'm not sure if every block in these tanks is a full block of water. That was kind of the idea behind putting the kelp in here, but I actually don't think it's that big of a deal if not every single block is a full block of water. So I'm going to let them grow up just a little bit more, and I think by then we can call this farm done. At least in terms of function, because we still need to find my way out. There we go. Because we still need to decorate this outside bit and the cave going all the way up to the surface. But after that, I think we could call it a wrap on today's project. I spent a little time debating on what kind of style and what kind of vibe I want to go with down this long tunnel that we have. And I think what we're going to do is come through and patch up all these little spots and then just add a couple of bits of details here and there. We're not going to overwhelm this path down with a ton of details because I don't think it really needs that. A cave is supposed to be simple, and the way that it's shaped is plenty fine. So if we just go in and patch the little bits here and there, I think this part will be fine the way it is. And for this section down here, I've been contemplating a build palette that I think I'm really going to like, and kind of a style and a theme and an idea. And that's going to deal with all of these blocks you see right here, and probably a lot more. But we're going to try and go for like an ancient ruin type, maybe ancient alien civilization that lived down here. And the cave itself is going to be sort of like an excavation down to this area. And then the entryway into the Amethyst geodes is going to be like a portal to another dimension. And I think that'll fit these geodes very well because as it stands right now, these look like floating planets or floating stars. And with night vision and all the skulk around it, it really feels like you're entering a portal to somewhere that isn't quite the game of Minecraft. We'll see if we're able to capture that feeling, but the idea is there, and I really hope I can execute on it well. Now, to keep this episode from going on too much longer, we are going to do a quick magic spin around, and suddenly we find ourselves not in a cavern that's empty, but one that is full of a detailed story. A story perhaps of a failed mining expedition? Perhaps of something evil lurking in the depths of this cave. All we know is that now this site is abandoned. Do we dare enter the mysterious mouth-looking portal? The closer I get, the more I feel its power drawing me in. And of course, we will end today's episode with a comment of the day. Today's comment of the day is from Jerry Heinitz. They basically gave a lot of praise about how our city is developing and how we are filling in every little space, even in between all of our other builds. The way that this city is developing is probably one of my favorite ways to play Minecraft because I love just being able to sit down in one area and just create anything and everything that your mind has. I really hope that over time and as we put out episodes, we're able to really just fill every little bit of this land that we settled in. And by the end of it, I believe we are going to have something truly amazing and incredible to speak of. And I'm glad other people are on board with that as well. They also talked about how we transition from larger projects to kind of smaller projects, and I really enjoy that kind of back and forth flow. And as my school semester is winding down, we might be in for a couple of big projects coming up. But who knows what we'll get up to. As always, I really appreciate all of the comments you guys leave. Even just watching the video means so much to me. The fact that you even clicked on my video in the first place just means the world to me. So if you made it this far in the video, thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. It really means more than you could know. But with that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful day.